Good morning, Rabbi.
It's 28th of April. This is Rabbi Furst, Parsha Hashavua, Achrei.
And Kedoshim, right? Double Parsha this week, Achrei Kedoshim, right? Okay. Thank you, Lou. As you said, this is Rabbi Tomer Furst here, Yeshiva Samanachi here in Yerushalayim, Kiryat Zoom. This is our Shir and Shabbos, Parshas Achrei Kedoshim. So we'll start with some psukim here in Kedoshim. Let's begin with in we're beginning of the Parsha Kedoshim, Perek Yud Tes Pasuk Gimel. Let's take a look at that pasuk there.
Kedoshim.
Yeah.
What did you say? Kedoshim what?
Yud Tes Gimel, 19 verse number 3.
19 verse 3. Verse 15, 11, 4, 10, 14. 19 verse 3. I have it.
You got it right?
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
Good. Okay. Yeah. Who would like to read? Any volunteers?
I do.
Okay, please go ahead if you like.
Okay. Ish imo va'aviv tira'u v'es shaba so sai tishmeru ani Hashem Elokeichem. So let's see, it says, a man, his mother, and his father shall observe my Sabbaths to guard them. I am Hashem your God.
I have a different.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, go ahead, Roy. What do you like to say?
My one is, ye shall fear every man, his mother and father, and keep my Sabbath. I am the eternal, your God.
Right. Okay.
That's what I've got.
Okay. So we're both happy with that? That's okay.
Yeah, there's two definitions of the word yira. Fear and awe. Mine gets the awe definition and Roy's gets the fear definition. Doesn't seem to me that fear is really appropriate here.
Maybe it is, because the fear doesn't mean boo, but the fear here means sort of, you know what we mean. You shall fear every man, his mother and father. Respect them and be careful. Be fearful that you are doing the right thing by them. And so his mother and father keep Shabbos. You keep Shabbos.
Well, I think that means that the commandment to listen to your mother and your father does not supersede the Shabbos. Because yes, you have to listen to your father and mother, but don't forget, if your father or mother says to break Shabbos, you don't do it.
Right. But here it is that I think it's that's one thing. But I think here is another, although it probably can be combined in that yeah, all right. Okay, I withdraw now.
Rashi?
Well, let's see, Rashi. We'll start with Rashi, yeah.
Where is this?
Okay, so on the phrase ish imo va'aviv tir'a'u, kol echad mihem, each one of you, tir'u aviv v'imo, shall have yira towards your father and your mother. Zehu peshuto. This is obvious. Mid rasho, and its exegetical interpretation.
Is a what interpretation?
Exegetical.
Oh, okay.
That's the English word for
All right.
I sort of don't know what it means.
It means
Uh,
the meaning that you derive.
You're extrapolating from the person. You want to extrapolate.
Right.
uh,
Not the plain meaning.
right.
Plain li ella ish. I only have the statement that a man should revere parents. Isha minayin. From where do I know that a woman should do so? Kashahu omer tira'u. When it says, you shall revere, Achrei on shnayim.
Right. That word tira'u, doesn't say tirep, singular. Tira'u is plural.
Right. So since it's plural, it must be referring to the man and the woman. In Cain, therefore, Lama Ne'amar Ish. Why does it say Ish? Sheha'ish Siper Biado La'asos. A man has the wherewithal to form the commandment. It's in his control, it's in his hand. Aval ish rishus acheri aleha. But a woman is subject to the authority of others. Imo
Right.
va'aviv tira'u. His mother and his father he shall revere. Han ikdish aim la'av. Here, it puts the mother ahead of the father. The fi shegalui lefanav, because it is revealed before him. She haben Yarei es aviv, that a son reveres his father. Yoter me imo, more than his mother. Uve chibud, but regarding honoring, hikdish av le'em, put the father ahead of the mother. Lefi shegalui lefanav, because it is revealed before him, shehaben mechabed es imo, that a son honors his mother. Yoter me aviv, more than he honors his father. Mipnei she me shadalto v'devarim, because she wins him over with words.
Right.
So I don't get this really.
Okay.
The mother is first, because a son reveres his father more than his mother. Okay, so it's putting her first in order to overcome that bias, I guess.
Right.
But with regard to honoring parents, oh, that's another verse where it puts the father ahead of the mother.
Right, that's in Parshas Yisro. If you want to take a look at Parshas Yisro, that's in Yisrael Dibros. 1 second. Parshas Yisro, I'll tell you where that is.
Most 2012 it says, and Devarim 5:16.
Yeah, those are the two cases where the Aseret Dibros are quoted, right? So you can look either there or there. And you'll see that there it says, Kibra aim.
Right. Honor your father and your mother, that your days will be lengthened upon the land that Hashem your God gives you.
Right, so when, in terms of kavod, he puts the fathers first to compensate for the child's inherent inclination to honor his mother more than the father. So therefore, the pasuk tells you first the father to compensate for that. And when Tirah comes to for the respect, so it puts the mother first to compensate for the greater respect that the child usually has for the father rather than the mother.
This Shab Tosai, Sab Shishmaru, and you shall observe my Sabbaths. Samach to Miras Shabbos. It juxtaposed the observance of Shabbos, the Mora Av, with reverence for one's father, Lamar, to say, Amal Pi, Shehiz Ar Icha, even though that it says enjoined you, I told you, Al Mora Av, about revering your father, Im Yomar Lecha, if he says to you, Kalel es HaShabbos, desecrate the Shabbos, Al tishma lo. Do not listen to him. V'chein bishar kol ha-mitzvos. And so too it is regarding all the mitzvahs.
Right, so if the if the parents should tell the children, sons or daughters, to transgress any one of the mitzvahs, not just Shabbos, but any one of the mitzvahs. So even though you have a mitzvah to respect them, more of the parents, you still are not obligated to. That's what the Torah is telling you here. You're not obligated to listen to the parents when they're going to tell someone, that's a child, to do something which is against the will, against the Ratzon of the Torah.
Ani Hashem Elokechem, I am Hashem your God. Atah v'avicha chayavim b'kvod. You and your father,
B'kavodi, in my honor.
b'chavodi. You and your father are both obligated in my honor, in honoring me, in honoring Hashem. L'fichach, therefore, lo tishma lo, do not listen to him. Levatel es divarai, to nullify my words. Ezehu mora, what constitutes reverence? Lo yeshev b'mekomo, do not sit in his place. Lo yidaber b'mekomo, do not speak in his place. Lo yistor es devarav, do not contradict his words. The ezahu kibud, and what constitutes honoring? Ma'chil, feeding, mashkeh, and giving to drink. Malbish, dressing. Manil, putting on shoes. Machnis, escorting him in. Umotziah, and escorting him out.
So just one comment here. It says that if the conflict should arise, as Rashi said, between the command of the Torah and the command of the Father, so the pasuk is telling us here, you're not supposed to listen to the Father, right? That you're Ata Avivicha Ivim Mikavodi. The reason here given is because of kavod. I would thought it maybe would, I would probably more so, I thought it would be Europe, that to fulfill the mitzvahs, here Rashi is explaining that you have to fulfill the mitzvahs of the Torah in spite of what the Father is telling you what to do, because both the Father and you are both chayvin b'kavodi, both obligated in my honor. Let's try to understand a little bit more deeply why it's a question of chayev b'kavod rather than perhaps chayev in yira. Why Rashi specifically pick covered here?
Covered and Yira aren't synonyms. Synonyms.
The year would be respect or fear or you're both required to respect me. I mean, respect my commandments. I thought that you're required to you both the father and the son are both obligated to respect my will, my rights, or my desire, my commandments. But you should if I have the kavod, that not so clear. Not so clear why that should be kavod. Again, maybe we have a way out. Let's try and think for a moment. Rashi gives examples when it comes to the father, what the kavod of the father is, right? How are you supposed to mechabed the father or the parents?
You look after them, you tend to them,
Right.
help them into a room and out of the room, you dress them, you feed them.
Right. So how can that somehow be transferred into towards the Kadosh Baruch Hu? Rashi says that Chayev to mechaber the Kadosh Baruch Hu. So obviously you can't be talking about feeding a Kadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem Shalom, or dressing Kadosh Baruch Hu. All those things obviously Hashem Shalom don't apply whatsoever. Right? So how does Rashi seem to explain that you're obligated in the keeping of Shabbos, because even if the father is asking you to mechalel hasashom mechalel Shabbos, you still have a obligation. Both the father and the son have mutual obligations to mechaber the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Chayav b'chavodi.
Kavod would apply in according to kavod would be according to where it is applied to the situation. So kavod for a person would involve different things than kavod to Hashem, or kavod to a prime minister, or kavod to a friend.
Right.
Some things would be the same, but because humans are equal, sort of, got common factors. But yeah, so it's an elastic term, I suppose.
Right. So very good. So maybe based on that, maybe you have a little bit of a way out based on that when a person's keeping Shabbos, when he's being shomer the Shabbos, do we understand that as a form of being mekaber the Kadosh Baruch Hu? That
so the kavod would be observing the mitzvahs,
right,
and the fear would be the fear of Hashem. The would be your use fear as fear, I suppose. Would be your fear of retribution if you don't.
right.
In that sort of way.
So yeah, the respect of the year of the Mora the respect, the awe, the fear, if you, as you say, you want to say the fear of punishments and retributions. So that's that might be a little bit more subjective than kavod. If kavod is we're going to say kavod is the fulfilling of the mitzvahs.
Mm,
That's more objective.
yeah.
Whereas that's something as and that would be parallel, because Rashi said in terms of the examples that were given, the kibbutz, that the eating, the drinking, the feeding, the drink, feeding him and to eat and drink and dressing, going in and out, escorting him in and out. Those are objective types of criteria.
Mm,
Right? The Mora, let's just take one more look at what Rashi said by Mora. Rashi's examples of Mora, he came to Rashi also gave objective criteria for that as well.
Standing up, not sitting in his place.
Right, those are all objective, observable
Mhm.
behaviors. All of those behaviors. So, in most cases, those, if you look, that might be a way out also. If you look at the examples that Rashi gave, all those Rashi gave the age of Mora, lo yeshiv mimkomo, lo yidaber mimkomo, lo yisisur derorov. Right, those are all things that you shouldn't do.
Mhm.
Right, and in when kavod, those are positive things. Positive things.
Mhm. Well,
So that might be also an understanding we can add to this point in Rashi, that that Rashi said both the father, you're not supposed to listen to the parents if they mention to you to Machalo Shabbos, because both the parents and the children, sons or the daughters, are all chayav b'kavodi. So the commandment of keeping Shabbos from the positive point of view, not meaning not the Machal Shabbos, positive point of view from not being Machal Shabbos, that's something which is a covenant, that the Shabbos is being observed. That's something which is, and not the Machal Shabbos, something which is observable. Okay. Maybe something like that. Does that seem to help a little bit, Roy?
probably yes. All right.
It also occurs to me that kavod is more action-based as opposed to yira, which is more thought-based.
To a certain extent, however, Rashi, in giving the examples, always he gave examples of actions. In all these cases, Rashi brought actions, right?
Mhm.
Well, I mean, don't speak in your parents' place. Don't contradict your parents. True, those are actions that you should refrain from doing. What underlying them is showing a lack of respect for the parent. If you contradict the parent or you speak when the parent, was somebody asks your father a question and you pipe up, you're being rude. You're showing a lack of respect. It's more of a something that's in your mind, I think, than the action is kind of subsidiary. Whereas you talk about giving him food, giving him water, taking him in and out, those are much more action oriented rather than thought oriented.
Right. The yeah, very good. As you said, the what Rashi's giving examples are examples which show a lack of respect, right? That if there was sufficient respect, if it was that attitude for the parent, so these examples that Rashi brought wouldn't come up.
Right.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Good. That's good. Okay. So let's now go to this pasuk here. I think it's pasuk Yud. Yeah, Yud Ches.
In the same
Yeah, same chapter, right? Same chapter.
Yud. Yes.
Yeah, famous pasuk. We all know this pasuk.
Ramuz. Yud David. Next one. Yud Zayin, Yud Tes, Yud Ches.
That's
Lo
right.
Tiskom. Is
Yeah.
it?
That's
Yes.
Lo sikom, below sitor, es b'nei amecha, va'ahavta l're'echa kamocha, ani Hashem. Okay, so
Okay.
do not take revenge. Do not bear a grudge against your people, and love your friend like yourself. I am Hashem. Okay,
good. Okay, let's see Rashi here.
you shall not take revenge. Amar lo. One man said to another, Ish ileni mi galcha. Lend me your sickle. Amar lo. The second man said back to the first, lo. No. The machar, the next day, Amar lo, the second man said to the first, Ish ileni kar ducha. Lend me your hatchet. Amar lo, the first one said to the second, Aini mash'ilcha. I am not lending it to you. Kederech shelo ish al tani. In the way that you did not lend it to me. You did not lend me your sickle. I'm not lending you my hatchet.
Right.
Zeki nikma. This is revenge.
So it can be on a so according to this, it can be on a very minor level. It doesn't have to be on a very damaging or very global level. It's on a very minor level. Person wanted to ask you to do him a favor, you didn't do him a favor. So he's not allowed to say, well, I'm not going to do a favor for you because you didn't do a favor for me. It's a very minimal level that the Torah is obligating us here. Even more so, obviously, even more so to do things which are really damaging and terrible.
Right. Okay, so Viter.
No, well, so that's something that I think we can emphasize over here, meaning the Torah here, as Rashi is explaining, is demanding that we be careful about this, even in the most minor cases, even in the most basic. Maybe if he doesn't get the hatchet from you, he'll go to somebody else and get the hatchet, right? What's the big deal? You cause him a little extra time, a little extra effort, right? So it's not really, we think it really doesn't amount to much. But I think the point to be made here is that the Torah, as Rashi is explaining, demands that we can't have any type of revenge, because if a person's going to be allowed to have these feelings even on a minor level, inconsequential things, so certainly if he never overcomes what might be a natural thing to do, right? People hold a grudge, right? So they're going to hold a grudge, and then they'll take revenge because they're holding a grudge. So if people never have the obligation to perfect themselves on the minor inconsequential things, so certainly they'll never be able to withstand the opportunity to do these things on a major scale for over consequential things, right?
Right.
So that's why the Rashi is explaining this, and you could say, well, obviously these things are so inconsequential. What should it matter? No, that's the whole point. The point is, if you never work on the inconsequential things, so you'll never be able to master the consequential things, the more serious matters. Okay.
Also, what occurs to me in reading this is, you seem as a person who seems 100% justified in taking revenge in this way. I mean, he didn't lend me a sickle. Why should I turn around and lend him my axe?
Right.
It's definitely, to me, it's very counterintuitive.
Let's see. I don't follow you exactly. Go ahead. Want to clarify it a bit more?
I would like to say is that if that's the way you feel, you're just as an outsider, you're just as bad as the one that is withholding the favor.
Why are you just as bad? He didn't have any.
You've got it in you. You may not have the opportunity to exercise it, but you've got it in you.
I would say on the contrary. If he came to me first and said, "Lend me your hatchet," I'd say, "Sure, no problem."
Mm-hmm.
But now that he refused to lend me his sickle for no good reason, so I don't want to associate with him. I don't want to have anything to do with him. He's rotten.
I will. So once that on that. First of all, in terms of the scenario that Rashi's presenting, you don't really know why he said no to you, do we?
Well, he doesn't give a reason. He just says no.
Okay, it's my business. It's my sickle. I can lend it out to who and where and when I want. And I said no. I said no in a very nice way. I said, I'm sorry, but I just can't give it to you.
Well,
And
that would be different.
well, maybe not. Maybe some people, since Lamaisa, you didn't give it to me. I had how much trouble I had to go to get somebody else's. I had to ride across town. I got a flat tire in the way. I missed my appointment. I didn't eat lunch. I got mad at my family when I came home. You know what that all that trouble was?
Yeah, so I'm not gonna lend you anything.
But he said,
Look
He
at all the
said,
trouble
"No,
you
you're-"
put me to.
well, where's your faith in a Kadosh Baruch Hu? All these things coming from a Kadosh Baruch Hu, not coming from him.
Mhm.
Well, I have faith in the Kedosh Baruch Hu that I'll somehow get the sickle, or somehow I'll manage to do the task I need to do with the sickle. But that doesn't contradict the fact that I'm angry at this guy because he refused.
Okay, so you're worse off than him. You, first of all, don't know why he said no to you, right? You don't know, right? But we know why you're saying no to him. You're saying no to him because he said no to you.
Right.
So you're much worse off than him.
I don't get that. Why am I worse off? He didn't have a reason. I do have a reason.
You have a bad reason. Maybe he had a good reason. He didn't tell you, but maybe he had a good reason. But we know you have a bad reason.
The fact that you don't know his reason doesn't mean he hasn't got one.
Doesn't mean he does have one.
Right.
Again, so you're right. Even let's say even if he has no reason, right? He has no reason, right? But you have a bad reason.
So let the lesson be here not be about revenge. Let it be about dan chasrus. Let it tell us that you should give him the benefit of the doubt and assume he had a good reason.
Okay, so that could be included in that. That could be part of the background over here. True, right? Right, but just dryly looking at the situation here, right? I mean, looking at the command. The command is that you shall not take revenge, right?
Right.
Whether he had a good reason, whether he had a bad reason. Many times people take revenge even if people had good reasons. They didn't get their way. You know how many people are not happy with people and things in life if they don't get their way? They don't care what the reason is, they didn't get their way. That's what counts. You ever meet people like that?
Mm.
Children maybe, not adults. I don't think.
Mm.
Hopefully adults have the chance of getting out of their childhood, but not everyone is so privileged. But a lot of people, if they don't get their way, young couples, I'll tell you, young couples, a lot of the early growing pains of the early marriage stages of early marriages because people are not getting their way. All of a sudden, they meet somebody that's not giving into them as everyone in their life up until marriage started giving into them, right? And sometimes they have a very good reason. Sometimes maybe a very good reason, but it's that's what a person has to focus on. Is it what's the rub? The rub is that you didn't get your way, right? You needed a sickle, you didn't get the sickle. So some people, they could care less what the reason is. They simply didn't get the sickle. Try going to a public office, right? And they say, we're sorry, right? You have all 536 papers except one. You can't file your claim. So how do you feel about that?
Oy vey's mir.
Mhm,
I feel pretty
That's right.
lousy about that.
Mm.
Rotten.
that's right.
Mhm.
Those are the rules, right? Those are the rules. But you're very unhappy about those rules.
That's right. But I'm not gonna go burn down the office.
You- Unfortunately, I'm sure there have been cases.
Mm.
Oh, yeah. Yep. All
So,
right. So at any rate, your point is that I should be done the chafskus and assuming you had a good reason.
yeah, well, that's part, again, that's part of it, meaning, well, telling you whether, even if, let's say, for example, there wasn't a mitzvah down the chaskus. There was no such mitzvah, right? But still, there would be a command not to take revenge.
Well, if there was no mitzvah done the chafskus, then we go back to my original position, which is that I'm justified in saying that I have a reason not to want to give to him because he didn't give to me and he didn't have a good reason.
Well, you're assuming he didn't have a good reason, but really,
But I'm
really,
allowed to now because he said there's no done the chafskus.
well, yeah, but again, if the Torah is commanding you not to take revenge, right? So whether he has that a mitzvah is incumbent upon you whether he had a good reason or not, whether you can be done like Havskus or not.
You have to overcome yourself.
Right, meaning it makes it easier if you know you have a mitzvah done like Havskus, so it makes it easier to fulfill the mitzvah of not taking revenge. If you have a mitzvah to believe fully that everything Kadosh Baruch Hu does is for your ultimate good, and what you're supposed to get in life is already determined, and if it's good for you, you're going to get it, and even if you don't get it, it's also good for you. So you have that mitzvah of emunim b'tachah that also makes it easier, right, to fulfill the mitzvah of not taking revenge. But even if you didn't have those other corollary mitzvahs, right, there'd still be a commandment for you not to take revenge.
And I would still have difficulty understanding it.
Well, I mean, why? What would be difficult to understand? I mean, Hashem doesn't want you to take revenge. Whatever he did or not do to you, right? You have to behave to him, right? Completely independent of how he's behaving towards you. Why should your behavior towards him be dependent upon his behavior towards you?
Are you not superior to this? To him, perhaps, but to the situation.
Right.
Are you letting the situation drag you down?
Right, to be above the situation, right? As they say, fly above the clouds, right, Roy?
Above what?
Fly above the clouds.
Ah, yes.
Don't get stuck in the weather, right?
Mm. One thing that bothers. Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, nothing important. I'll bring it up later.
Mhm.
What were you going to say?
No, so I think that's a point to emphasize over here, that Rashi's example, right? That all the other corollary mitzvahs which make it easier, right? Make it easier to fulfill this mitzvah of not taking revenge, but nevertheless, it's still more vital that we understand the mitzvah is independent, because really what the mitzvah is that you should really be beyond his relationship. However he's acting towards you, right? Your behavior towards him shouldn't be influenced by his behavior toward you, which is it's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy. There's a Sefer Mesilas Yesharim, the Ramchal says that this mitzvah, he speaks about this particular mitzvah directly. Says this mitzvah is really applicable only to Malachi Asharis. It's only applicable really to angels, which don't have human feelings. But nevertheless, Hashem, this is what the Mr. Sharm says. He says, nevertheless, Hashem commanded this. So what can we do? Since Hashem commanded this, we have to do it. But it's really only something which is really possible for the angels to do.
Mm.
But that's what Hashem wants from us.
Mm. All right. Well, what bothers me is that the example with the sickles and hatchets, they're lethal weapons. You get angry. I would have preferred an example like with some money at least, or something, or lend me a book or something.
Paintbrush, an easel. So,
Yeah.
Okay, very good. All right. So, what can we say?
Oh well, yeah.
Okay, very good. Maybe something to think about over today in Shabbos, Mitzvah Hashem. Okay.
So what should I say at my Shabbos table, Rabbi?
You have this. This is the point. You have to say what Hashem's commanding us not to take revenge, right? That because you might think it says L'afterecha kamocha, right? It says L'afterecha kamocha. So you're supposed to love him as he loves you, right? Right?
No, as
So
you love yourself.
As you love yourself, right? So you really love yourself in spite of who and what you are. So you have to love him in spite of who and what he is. And therefore you're not supposed to take revenge. Don't take revenge because you're supposed to be loving him just as you love yourself, and you're supposed to love him regardless of how he's behaving towards you.
The regardless might be a bit much in that there is must be a limit. I mean, if somebody like sort of in the war, you really can't apply it. It's absolutely inhuman. You can't apply it to something like the Holocaust, or to a murderer of any,
right.
even of now,
Oh no, right. Rashi, if you notice, Rashi did not use an example when a person did damage to a person. Didn't do damage. If a person did damage to a person, so that's something else. Whether that applies if a person actually did something actively or passively to cause damage to a person, that's something else. Yeah. Whether the not taking revenge applies in that situation that we didn't go into, that I'm not sure about. I can't speak about that.
There were some wars, weren't there? Some wars that you could call like going into, I've forgotten who it was and where it was. They're killing all the men.
Amalek
get him have a Brit, and then sending in soldiers while they're in agony and killing them off. What was that? I've forgotten. It was that because that was to do with Yehuda and Tamar or something, wasn't it?
That was the Maisa of the Pelagish Begiva could be. Yeah, look, that's something else. That when you're talking about whether groups or nations have a right to take revenge. I mean, if there's hatred and those things going on, feuding and all that kind of thing, obviously we don't want that. We don't want that. But whether that's applicable to this mitzvah, I'm not sure. I don't know.
Okay, we better log into.
Yeah, don't want to keep Rabbi Levitt. Could ask Rabbi Levitt if he has any thoughts on the subject.
All right,
okay.
So thank you very much.
Have a very good Erev Shabbos and a good Shabbos, and hope to see you on Yom Rishon at Hashem.
Okay. Have a good Shabbos,
Thank you.
Rabbi and Roy.
Yeah, see you soon.
See you soon, Roy, yeah. Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you,
Thank
Rabbi. Bye
Thank
for
you,
now.
Roy. Be well.
Good Shabbos.
Thank you.